caretaker committee chairman, has been operating as though he's a domestic staff of Senator John Udoine.
Hey, we'll get for Africa. When your brother is releasing something and you patronizing your brother, there is only one seat, and only one man will sit on that seat. Let us be careful what we say and who we say is going to be the governor, or be a senator, or be a member of the House of Representatives, and all of that. Let us also give respect to the office that we all occupy, that God has called us, and be careful that these things that we say, they have a way of having a ripple effect. But you must have to understand that in the midst of all of this, God is still God.
Listen to Planet 101.1 FM News at 7 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. with our news in special English at 2:30 p.m., Mondays to Fridays. Planet Radio 101.1 FM is moving around you.
It's the news at noon. In the news, federal government says UBEC to strengthen early childhood education. Chairman Akwa APC Presidential Rally Committee Nsima Ekere invites stakeholders for enlarged meeting tomorrow ahead of January 30 campaign rally. People advised to recreate old abandoned product to new to reduce consumption of fresh raw materials and help control waste dumping. On a foreign scene, French and German minister in Ethiopia to back peace deal. In sport, Messi guides PSG to victory after World Cup return. Details coming up shortly. Good afternoon and welcome to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo. I am Rachel David White. First in the news this afternoon, as part of effective preparation and mobilization for the January 30th, 2023 APC presidential campaign rally billed for Akwa Ibom State, the chairman Akwa Ibom APC Presidential Rally Committee, Obong Nsima Ekere, has invited stakeholders for an enlarged meeting. A statement by the Secretary, Central Planning Committee, CPC, Wem Udoma, states that those expected at the meeting include all members of the CPC of the presidential rally, all members of the PCC and ICC directorates, committees and subcommittees for Akwa Ibom State, as well as candidates of the party and contending candidates in the last primary elections. According to the statements, the meeting is scheduled to hold tomorrow, Friday, 13th January 2023, at the Presidential Campaign Office, number 77, Edit Apan Avenue, Uyo, by 2 p.m. The release calls on all invitees to be punctual. Away from that, people have been advised to abandon already used waste products, thus instead convert them into new products to reduce consumption of fresh raw materials and to help control waste dumping. Speaking with Planet News, an artist, John Edom, said that turning old product to new is an industrial process of reforming the product to still serve its primary purpose it was created for. He educated on the benefits and reasons for converting waste materials to eco-friendly products to have functional relevance and to also reduce health-related issues.
It is imperative that we look for possible ways that we can actually solve the problem of waste so that it doesn't destroy us. In this process of conversion, it still maintains the primary purpose for which it was created. And it is very, very necessary for us to recycle, because when you recycle, you don't give room for incineration. You reduce the possibility of creating an atmosphere where these natural gases become harmful to human health. They use machines to melt or disintegrate these waste materials like papers, aluminium, bottles, and the rest of them.
Further speaking, Ibom said that a lot can be achieved when old waste products are recycled and recreated. He stated that the government can make use of recycling industries to create jobs for thousands of people by sensitizing and educating interested people on ways to recycle already used products and converting them to new, which will in turn improve waste dumping culture in the country.
Use the number of waste that would have gone to the landfills. So rather than carry these waste materials that we as human beings create and take them to the dustbin, at the end of the day it smells, causes environmental pollution, gather these materials and recycle them, so that they can still continue to be in use. It increases economic security. It creates jobs. Now, there are a lot of recycling industries, both locally and globally. They do a lot of plastic collections. They collect some of this waste and you can make money from it. I want to encourage you to go into recycling.
In a separate development, mixed reactions have continued to trail the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN's policy on restriction of daily cash withdrawal that has taken off across the country, with some residents lamenting the inadequacy of a deadline set by the CBN for the use of old notes as legal tender, while also noting that the redesigned Naira banknotes are not sufficiently circulated for the public to have access to them. Speaking with Planet News, some respondents say that the maximum weekly limit for cash withdrawals across all channels by individuals and corporate organizations of 500,000 by individuals and 5 million naira has affected their businesses negatively and cost low patronage.
Upambere na mmemme na mmewe bisisi okaka yanwe kama kake gido nyen afna do wawo do to won de meme metisi okaka wa ketieti ngen bere na mmemme ewe yak mewe si okaka treke 1000 naira ikiti ono aya de fno wawo ubire du kare no mmebo ya si o itoki baraka me kwa usen do kuru akere 500,000 but ari fno to wawo de mien do wo mbubege mesensi okoksi wa ketieti ira ambu nam de ke mbubege me mmebe ngombo mbok ya nwam ke na ngama ne esi okaka ne ke treke aya di fana mbublo wa hawo ni bo mbok ya o kare mane se na se o ke na na ri ne ke ki fon mbok ai mane ngwa ma wo mebe mo kare mbok ya mane se mpo ba mpom.
They lamented that the current CBN's policy and restriction on daily cash withdrawal will not sustain their businesses. They further appealed to the government and agencies responsible for the policy to create solutions for it.
Aye nyamngenam ewoke apiongomi ke ya etre awidi kama kana kfami adi do mboro fana ke to wa ya na mi nse ufa kfami iwaki ke me wo bo ke fa ko si ogidi mi di waki ke nse me we kamena mbubege e ma re no musenu fionge bo ma ro tete face gumi kama ke fa ko me ba aro do ko kana ko me so ko ba wa kana fa idi nam die bo yo kare su wenye ne se nwa ma wo ke ri fono mbo me bo mbo ya ko kare se mbo ba e ma ne nam ja kfami awa ke me wo bo me ma ne no kusen ready tre ari use akana.
Speaking with a correspondent, Ibom Ekoisu, respondents appealed to the federal government to work towards ensuring that the concerns are speedily addressed. Now to the national scene, the federal government has said that universal basic education, UBEC, will do everything humanly possible to strengthen early childhood education in the state. Reports say UBEC, a federal government agency under the Federal Ministry of Education, has the mandate to formulate and coordinate all programs related to the Universal Basic Education Program and also prescribe the maximum standards for basic education in Nigeria. In Nigeria, basic education is primarily under the control of state government. The UBEC Act mandates that state government pay a mandatory 50% counterpart fund to access the yearly interventions of the federal government. In a statement made available to newsmen to herald the flag of the national sensitization campaign of out-of-school children across the country, the Minister of State for Education, Nana Opia, heightened and also highlighted some of the factors that deny children access to early education, saying that the federal government, through the instrumentality of the universal basic education, is doing everything humanly possible to assist the state on the issue of early childhood education. The sensitization, the minister said, is designed to ensure massive enrollment of children in basic and primary schools and should be taken seriously by all stakeholders, adding that it is a moral and legal obligation, the discharge of which all will guarantee the future of the children and, by necessary implication, the nation. Away from that, the Ukrainian government has expressed its readiness to establish grain hubs in Nigeria and other African countries to boost bilateral ties. This was made known when Ukrainian Minister of Agrarian Policy and Food, Mykola Solsky, led a delegation to the Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, and the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohamed Abubakar, in Abuja. Onyema lauded Ukraine for the grain donation, saying that the gesture was coming even when the country is still at war. Onyema, however, lamented that some of the victims of the war in Ukraine are a large number of Nigerian students whose studies have been interrupted by the war. Also, at the meeting, Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Abubakar, said that Nigeria is very willing and ready to provide the appropriate ports for the grain hub in the country. Abubakar added that the purpose of the grain hubs is to have a center where Ukraine would be bringing grains and Nigeria will be helping other African countries, which would be useful in case of emergency and even for donation to other countries. On his part, the Ukrainian minister said the grains from his country will arrive in Nigeria next month under the initiative called Grains from Ukraine. He explained that despite the war with Russia, the Ukrainian food industry wants to have closer relations with Nigeria and is very thankful for Nigeria's readiness to develop their relations. On infrastructure, the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has ordered the closure of the second Niger Bridge and sections of other major roads earlier opened to ease traffic for the 2022 Christmas celebrations. He gave the directive in Abuja, where he said is to enable contractors return to site to complete work on the various projects. This was contained in a statement signed by Engineer Folorunso Esang on behalf of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, noting that the second Niger Bridge will, however, remain closed for public use with effect from Sunday, January 15, 2023, for continuation of work on the completion of the access roads to the bridge. The Minister sought the patience and understanding of motorists and members of the public on the action aimed at completing the ongoing projects. You're listening to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo. Let's take a breather and I'll bring you more stories from our foreign, sports and entertainment scenes. Do stay with us.
Healthy living begins with the choices one makes. Choosing to live healthy is the first step to healthy living. Join us Sundays 1:30 to 2 p.m. for Healthway, awareness for healthy choices.
Thanks for staying with us. On a foreign scene, the French and German foreign ministers have arrived in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, to support the peace agreements that ended 2 years of fighting in the Northern Tigray region. Germany's Annalena Baerbock said the pair would be discussing the need for lasting peace and accountability, food security in the region, as well as the wider partnership between the European and African Unions. According to report, thousands of combatants and Tigrayan civilians died during months of brutal fighting marked by numerous allegations of war crimes. And sport. Lionel Messi scored in Paris Saint-Germain's 2-0 win over Angers in Ligue 1 on his first appearance since leading Argentina to victory in the World Cup in Qatar. Messi had been rested for PSG's first 3 matches following the long break in the season caused by the World Cup, but he returned to training in Paris a week ago and was back in the starting lineup for his game against Ligue 1's bottom side. The win, which came 3.5 weeks after the captained Argentina to the World Cup final triumph on penalties against France in Qatar, saw PSG move 6 points clear at the top of the French table. Neymar also started, having missed his team's last 2 matches due to suspension and undergo treatment on the ankle injury he suffered playing for Brazil at the World Cup. On the entertainment scene, U.S. dancer and choreographer Michael Flatley, famous for his Irish production Riverdance, has had surgery for an aggressive form of cancer. A post on his Instagram page said he was in the care of an excellent team of doctors. Flatley, 64, shot to fame with Riverdance, which first appeared during the 1994 Eurovision interval in Dublin, lasting 7 minutes. It's been the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo, but before we go, a recap of the major stories. The federal government has said that universal basic education, UBEC, will do everything humanly possible to strengthen early childhood education in the state. As part of effective preparation and mobilization for the January 30, 2023 APC presidential campaign rally billed for Akwa Ibom State, the chairman of Akwa Ibom APC Presidential Rally Committee, Nsima Ekere, has invited stakeholders for an enlarged meeting. People have been advised not to abandon already used waste products, but instead convert them into new products to reduce consumption of fresh raw materials and to help control waste dumping. On a foreign scene, we told you that the French and German foreign ministers have arrived in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa to support the peace agreement that ended 2 years of fighting in the northern Tigray region. In sports, we told you that Lionel Messi scored in Paris Saint-Germain's 2-0 win over Angers in Ligue 1 on his first appearance since leading Argentina to victory in the World Cup in Qatar. For comment and coverage of your newsworthy event, call our newsroom on 0812-770-2940. Visit our website on planet101fm.ng and follow us on Twitter at planet_101fm. Also, like our Facebook page at planet101fm Uyo. The news was edited by Isaiah Udo and Jane Owa. As we end the news, always remember that life is what we make of it. Always has been and always will be. I am Rachel David White. Good afternoon.